Welcome to the Crossing Paths podcast with Pastors Brian Burson and John Martinez, the podcast where they embark on captivating journeys through the lives of Sandals Church Banning members, exploring the real-life stories that intertwine our church community and deepen our connections. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
Well, we have the pleasure of having Michelle Yoder with us today.
Yeah, we do.
And right out of the gates, I get to ask you about we're talking last week,
Yeah.
a recent vacation, a cruise to Catalina Island and Ensenada. So let's hear about this trip. How was it? This is for Sean, your husband's 40th birthday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my husband for many years wanted to go on a cruise, and I was never into it. I just always heard the horror stories about people getting sick, just it's like a sardine case. Very overwhelming. So finally, for his 40th, he brought it up again, and I was like, okay, let's do it. You plan it, you do all of it. I'll just be there and we'll go. We went from Monday to Friday, and it's our first cruise. So we're newbies on all of it, and for about a month, he was just doing all of his research.
He's planning it out.
Oh yeah, his YouTubing, just doing all the research that you can think of. He did it. And
he wants to get the most out of it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's always tips and tricks and what not to do and all that stuff. So
Did that pay off, all that research?
oh, for sure.
So one of the things, I've only been on one cruise. It was for our honeymoon. We did the Mexican Riviera thing. So you go to Puerto Vallarta, Cabo San Lucas, and
Mazatlan.
Yeah. So, right out of the right on the heels of that trip, I just remember how they fed us. The person
yes.
who is in charge of setting up our table knew that I always ordered the guava nectar drinks and mango drinks and stuff
Wow.
So in the morning when I showed up, he would have all of that set up for me even before I ordered. So tell us about the dining experience.
Okay, so it's a lot of food. It's it's an all day, every day. You can eat whenever. So I'm not the typical person that would eat 3 meals a day, and I'm more of a snack here, snack there type of person. But yeah, when you're on the cruise, it's you have your your Mexican food, your burgers, your every type of food you can think of, you can have, and it's just right there for you 24/7.
Yeah.
So that's very tempting because you just want to try everything little by little and stuff. And then I love desserts and stuff too. So it's I want to try all of the desserts.
You gotta go to the dessert table.
All the desserts.
Yeah. There's everything, literally everything that you can think of, you can have and stuff. So it was really nice. And so we had to get into eating for a week like that, and when we never take naps, and we took naps.
You got to get conditioned to eat that way for a
Go
week.
comatose there for a while.
Well, because plus there's so much to do on the boat, all the time, no matter what time it is and stuff too. So it's you want to go to a comedy club, or if you want to go to the piano bar, or if you want to go see a show, or there's different times and everything. And so we kind of and we're not big stay out, stay up late people. So we kind of had to prepare ourselves for that too. So
You got to get past 9 o'clock at night.
Yes. I go. My bedtime is when my youngest, when he goes to bed. So it's just
So you're definitely a proponent of cruises now.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I actually got really overwhelmed when we first got on the boat because it's just so many people and you're just all stuck together, and you're just okay, I want to tap out now. Can we just get off the boat? I'm not ready for this. But eventually, my nerves calmed down, and we finally got into our room and getting settled in and stuff. And we're okay, I'm good. good. So, but yeah, it was very overwhelming at first. But then once, people started doing their own thing and scattering off, or when you get off the ship and stuff, it was a lot smoother. So we're definitely planning for next year for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and with the kids and everything. So.
Okay, so family. You and Sean have been married for how many years?
We have been married for 7, and we have been together overall 9.
Okay. And family, so kids, you got boys.
Yes, 3 boys.
3 boys.
Yeah.
And you live in Beaumont?
Yes.
Okay, live in Beaumont, and you guys are a part of our campus, Sandals Church Banning. You're also a part of our Omni Digital team. You're a photographer.
Yes.
And very gifted at it. You have the colorings of your photos. You're an outdoor photographer primarily.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just have to see her work. It's pretty phenomenal. So tell us about that. Like, how did you get into photography?
Yeah. So that started when I was literally I'm a very outdoorsy person. So I'll kind of start with that. That started right from when I was literally like a baby. Like my parents literally, like when we're a couple of days old, we're like with my brother and I hiking in the little backpacks or like camping. And like, even like my mom would tell me stories of like people like, how old's your child? Like only just a couple of weeks old. And they're like, why are they out in the middle of the woods? Like, what are you guys doing? But that's just like how my parents were. They're very like 70s hippie, like people and stuff. So
that sounds kind of hippie-ish, like being out in the woods.
Oh
and
yeah,
young
that
family.
was like my life growing up, was just always camping, being outdoors, taking care of Mother Nature, like, pick up wherever you go of trash and
I do remember seeing, like, you post a lot about going and doing the cleanup days, right?
Yeah.
Like where you're out there and you take a bag with you.
Yeah.
There's like an organization, right, that like you kind of like follow for that?
Yeah, it's necessarily just, anybody can, do it,
Right.
just wherever, you go, just always, never leave a trace behind, and, just pick up if you see trash when you're hiking or wherever you go, just.
Yeah, it's cool. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
You take like Mason with you. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You guys go hiking with the kids and you're able to do that together. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Then my boys are really into it and stuff. And, and I do a lot of solo hiking as well. My husband's not into hiking at all. So he's like, just do your thing, babe. I'm like, okay.
That's shocking to me though, because Sean seems, he is outdoorsy.
He's very outdoorsy, but he's
But he doesn't
like,
like to
if
hike.
I'm going to go hike, I'm going to go hike, to go kill a deer or to go like.
You got to come back with something.
He wants to hunt
Yeah.
instead of like just hike. Just
Yeah.
hike. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Like, he's
So-
pretty outdoorsy. He likes
Yeah.
to go out and have fun outdoors.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I know you guys have toys and stuff like that you guys will take out.
Yeah.
And, that's pretty cool.
But
Yeah.
you often have a camera with you wherever you go.
Yes, I always have my camera, whether it be my phone or my actual like Canon and stuff. But ever since I was little, honestly, so my parents were big on pictures as well. I remember growing up and like my parents would have like this big, huge boxes of just pictures of us traveling, us camping, of just everyday life stuff. Like they were always like taking pictures and stuff. So I kind of think at a very young age, I started getting into that. So when I was little, I literally had a camera with me like everywhere, but it was like those little those like
Yeah.
like,
Then you had to go get it developed. and-
yeah. So
You didn't know if your pictures were like legit or not, if they
no.
blurry, but that was kind of part of it, right? Wasn't that
Yeah.
part of the fun of like taking photos with a disposable camera?
Yeah.
Like now we'll take like 20 photos of the same thing just to get the perfect shot. But back then we would take that photo that we would get and we'd be like, it would mean something to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see like all the photos, like going through my parents' photos growing up and just seeing what they went through like before my brother and I, and then just like us growing up and stuff. So it's cool.
Now, where did you grow up?
So I grew up I'm born and raised in San Diego.
Okay.
But
Beautiful place.
yeah. But when I say San Diego, I don't mean like the beaches or like, downtown. I literally, it's called East County, but I like Alpine, Julian, those type of,
That's
it's
nice.
mountains.
More mountainous.
Very mountainous.
Julian is a lot like Oakland
yes.
or Forest Falls or something.
Literally, when we moved here and then I heard about Oakland and we went there, I was like, just feels like home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's really
It's kind of the old Western, like gold rush communities.
Really?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never been to that
Oh, you
part of
gotta
San
go
Diego.
to- you gotta
So
go to
weird.
Julian.
Well, because every time we go to San Diego, it's always to go to like to the beach, downtown areas.
Oh,
Like it's
yeah.
always the same thing.
And it's not that far away because I grew
That's
up
cool.
going to the beach all the time. Like I used to surf and stuff, and I used to go downtown and stuff, and growing up my whole entire life in San Diego, I've been everywhere to do things and stuff. So,
neat.
but my house, like growing up, I was the country.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about your like childhood growing up. Were you raised in a Christian home?
Yeah, so yes and no. So my mom is a firm believer, but my dad is not. So it was very hard, like growing up because my mom always took my brother and I, to church ever since we were little, like Sunday school and Awanas and. So we, obviously we growing up since we were little, we always, went down that path with her. And I would probably say like junior high, when you get in, trying to figure who you are and, and everything like that. It's like, I'll always remember that day that my dad was like, well, you don't have to go to church if you don't want to, type of thing. So I was like, oh, okay. So like my brother and I were just like, so it kind of hurt my mom in a lot of ways because, that was her life, was going to church and, helping the church and, wanting us to be, go down that path as well and everything. And she, tried her best and stuff. But yeah, it's just we drifted, my brother and I, we would only start going, during the holidays and everything. So, but we drifted away, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, tell me, I had asked if you were okay in this conversation just to go into addiction.
Yeah.
Because that's a part of your story.
It is.
And so tell us at what point in time that came about in your life and tell us, what happened. And
Yeah. So I always feel like, with my addiction and my sobriety now, like I want to tell my story because I want to help people who might feel hopeless like I did back then, like 4 years ago. It's just, I always, my growing up wasn't fun. It wasn't, good. My mom was a Christian, but my dad was, not a believer. And he, growing up, I was mentally and physically, abused. My mom was, my brother was, and, so it just really took a toll, on me, and of wanting to escape and, try to run away. And so at, 15, I started hanging out with the wrong people and, the wrong crowds. And so that's when I started drinking. And then when I started drinking, I just felt the effect of like, oh, this can take away all my pain. This can take away all my problems, or like I was always chasing that high, that buzz. And I never wanted, once I got it, like, I just never wanted to stop. So and then from there, it just, it was really bad.
So how long did it last? So you started kind of teenage years, maybe kind of experimenting that led to full-blown addiction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I've, been with addiction for 18 years. And it got to the, point of, like, I did a lot of, I guess you want to say, like, my worst of the worst, or, but it just, and I tried, my hardest to, stop and, just saying I'm never going to do this again, or like, this is my breaking point. But, and I always thought it, but I just, something would always happen, or life or traumas or just, things would always bring me back to alcohol.
So alcohol was your...
It was my
your
go-to
sure.
for everything.
Okay.
My highs, my lows, my goods, my bads, I'm bored, I'm this, it was my go-to for everything.
Were you a functioning alcoholic? Like you were still getting
for
through
sure.
life,
Yeah.
and you at some point in time you were working.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
So-
it never affected, my work life. It never affected, a lot of people didn't know I had a problem because I was that good at hiding it. So I was a very good functional alcoholic for sure. Yeah. And
Usually drinking by yourself or in public or both? Okay.
both. Yeah. I would not care if I was by myself or or with, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then how old were you when it came to a bottom and you finally went into recovery?
So 4 years ago, it was actually my youngest son's 3rd birthday party, and I was drinking because we had a bunch of friends and family over and stuff, and then afterwards, our friends, were like, oh, there's like this really cool concert that, up in Palm Springs that we want to go to. And then cause the birthday party was already done with and everything. And then but me as an alcoholic at the time, I chose partying and alcohol over my own son, and I that was number one. And then that night, my husband and I got into a really bad fight because Sean's not a big drinker because his dad was an alcoholic as well. So Sean put up with a lot with me in my alcoholism, and it,
And it wasn't a secret to him. He knew.
He knew. Yeah, there was. There were times that he questioned our marriage or our relationship of if he could handle this or how much longer can I handle this and everything. But that night we got into, and there has been plenty of nights where, because of my drinking that we got into arguments because he always would tell me what to do. And of course, being an alcoholic, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear people stop drinking or stop doing this or whatever. But we got into a really, really big fight to the point where this was my first time ever where I actually physically hit him. And I was just, but he didn't react, and he reacted in a way that I was just really shocked. He just held me because he knew. He knew, he just held me, and I always get teared up about this, but he just held me, and he just was just telling me I love you, and the next morning, of course, my drinking had gotten so bad where literally every night I was blacking out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were
I was at I've been into a lot of rock bottoms with my drinking for the past 18 years, but this at the end before I actually went into rehab was it was getting really, really bad. Yeah.
For an alcoholic, there can be these points in time where you literally your brain no longer is functioning, but you're actually functioning through. You might be still functioning through life, but you're blocking out. Your memories, no longer holding on to those memories of what you're doing.
Yeah, because it's I don't want to remember.
Yeah.
I don't. It's I was trying to numb out my life.
Yeah.
And of the ups and the downs and the goods and the bads, it didn't really I didn't care. I was just trying to run. Did
you know you were an alcoholic?
I did at a young age, and I was just okay, this is probably not good because it does run in my family. Okay. Addiction does run in my family. So it's just, but I didn't listen to it.
Yeah, it runs in my family too. So I know it's you don't want to you want to pretend as if like you're the one that's going to break that cycle.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. You know, I also, like, I was thinking when you were talking about Sean, like, did he know when you guys first started dating that you were an alcoholic or struggled with alcohol, and what caused him to say, like, kind of be okay with that?
So,
if that's okay.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I don't like.
Because it's beautiful that he would like be there with you in that moment.
Well, trust me, yeah. I've been in relationships, even with my 2 oldest sons, dads. Like, when you're in an alcoholic and you're in that addiction, you follow and you attract the same type of people. So it's like with my older son, Devin's dad, it's like he was the same way. He was an alcoholic. He was a druggie. He's been in and out of rehab and everything. And then also with my middle son's dad, he was an alcoholic as well too. So it's like, unfortunately, it's like you attract what you become and stuff, and you get into those bad relationships that aren't good for you and stuff. And so, but Sean is like my saving grace, other than, God, because, if it wasn't for Sean not giving up on me throughout all these years, like, I don't know where I would be.
Yeah. We all love Sean.
Yeah.
He just never gave up on me.
Yeah.
And even though we both put each other through, a lot, but he, with my addiction, he has put up with, a lot from me and stuff. And, sometimes he'll say, like, I know, I could be some of that reason why you were drinking and stuff, but I'm like, but overall it's like, no, but I've had this problem for a long time and stuff. But yeah, so it's like, but going back, before going into rehab, literally like the next morning I was in the shower just cause that was always like my hangover go-to, just, feel like I'm, dying, but it's like, I was just in the shower and, just sobbing my eyes out, but it was just literally, when people say like that moment when God just came in and saved my life, that was my moment.
Wow.
Like, I literally just felt the presence, and I always say it like literally like it really happened.
Wow.
And stuff. Like, I just had like that feeling of God just over me, just saying like, Michelle, like, it's enough is enough. Like, it's time for me to take over. Like, you can't handle this on your own anymore. Like, I need to hold you up and I need to take care of you. And literally the next day I went into a 9-month intense rehab.
That was a long time. That's hard with a family.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but it was like, but it literally changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and we just recently baptized you.
Yes.
And there was just a moment where you were like, hey, can you read this?
Yeah.
And it was just a part of that. You wanted people to know, hey, I'm getting baptized. I struggled with addiction for a long time.
A lot of people never knew.
I loved that you just like threw it out there.
Yeah.
Like, you're just, I don't care. Like, I'm getting rid of all of that. I don't even care. And so it just shows that you just want to be a vessel for His glory. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just your openness to talk about it too is hugely beneficial for people that listen in, whether it be standing around the baptismal pool or listening into a podcast. Because they might look at you and think, well, she doesn't have any problems.
Well,
and
that's what I'm saying. Like, people like look at me and they're just like, they're shocked.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
because you have a beautiful family. You got these.
You're really, you're really nice, and like you're like quiet and kind.
Yeah.
I would have never imagined.
Yeah.
And so because that's not who we know. We really don't know that. We got to meet you after you've gone through rehab and other things like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. We know this version of you, and so to see you just say, like, I want to use that part of my life to like benefit the kingdom, is so cool.
Yeah.
So good.
I just want to, I hope that, people that are struggling, with addiction, or, have trauma, that they need to deal with is like, don't lose hope, because, I lost hope, a long time ago. And, I thought I can never get out of this black hole and stuff. So
yeah, it's an amazing story. So thankful that you're willing to share that with us. I want to touch on one more thing, because this is another touch point for a lot of people, and that is dealing with cancer.
Yeah.
So you're in the recovery process. That's been a pretty intensive year, 2 years, 2 year process. So share a little bit about that and where you're at now.
So breast cancer runs really high in my family. It runs, my mother went through it, my grandmother went through it, and through like, probably when I was like in my early 20s is when I like started, having like, had to get checked and everything because of lumps and everything, and the type of, like situation and stuff. So it's been a roller coaster, but and it's very, very, scary, but with my mom being by my side through all of it as well, and her understanding, like, I've been through this, you can do this as well. And so, and even though like I didn't actually have like physical cancer, but so what they call it is like breast preventive cancer, breast cancer basically. So what they did and the doctors did was do a full double mastectomy, and then did reconstruction after that and everything too. Yeah.
So this has been, if you're talking about decades of your life, you guys have gone through a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And you personally have experienced transformation with the work that God has done with you in terms of your recovery, in your marriage. You guys going on this trip to celebrate Sean's 40th is kind of a stake in the ground moment of like, hey, God's gotten through it, us through a ton of things.
For sure.
7 years into marriage, your boys, your family, serving in the church. We just love having you guys a part of this campus.
Yeah.
And,
well, just the story, like, I don't have a ton of time, but to like, they started coming to the church, her son, and then she ended up coming and visiting. And then we invited her to the digital team. And then I remember she was telling us, like, oh, I really want my husband to come. We'll see. He's some church hurt and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then I remember saying, just get me in front of him.
And I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, dude, he's not like.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know if he can. I'm like, no, I promise. Like, we know how to adjust for the person.
Honestly,
He has, I think, was it like a couple weeks ago? I came up to him and I was like, you remember when like you were like, didn't even. And he was like, yeah, man, I can't imagine like not being here anymore. And now he's serving, and now he's like, he loves it. And you guys get to experience that together and as a family. And it's like, and you started coming right before a lot of what you were going to be going through.
Yeah. It literally, like, I started coming here, and then I joined, the digital team and everything. And then all of a sudden, like, the breast cancer stuff, happened. And I'm like, okay.
When you had people around you now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Sean knew that this was a safe place, and you had people around your whole family, And so it's just cool how God works in those areas.
The timing of everything, crazy. Like literally like the timing. And I thought, like, I tried to get, my husband to go to church with me for like, years and stuff, but he was just like, no, I'm not, I don't want to do that, because like he grew up, church, like just throwing down him, and he's been hurt by, growing up by church and everything too. And once he was 18, he was just like, I'm gone, like I don't want to be a part of the church anymore type of thing. So, and like through the years, I, asked him if he wanted to go, and, but never wanted to push him, like his parents pushed him and stuff. So I was like, whenever you're ready, you're ready. But then when I joined and I started getting involved, he was like, you're at church a lot. Like, what are you doing here? Like a lot. Like he's like, I want to like, you know, get more, like know more about this and stuff. I'm like, babe, I'm like, trust me. Like you're going to love it. Like it's not what you think. Like
it was, it was like immediate like connection with him and he loved it. And so,
it was really, I mean, honestly, like it was amazing, like what God has been doing in our life since we started coming here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we love, like I said, having you guys at our campus and just knowing your story. And now we get to share some of that with the congregation through this podcast.
Yeah.
And so thanks for being willing to come in and share with us. And usually how we wrap things up is just we have a chance to pray for the person that's come in. So we just want to go ahead and do that right now.
Okay.
Lord, I just thank you for Michelle. I thank you for Sean. I thank you for their family. I just thank you for, Lord, Michelle's willingness just to be open and transparent about her life and her life story. And just there's some brokenness that she has walked through. And Lord, you've demonstrated yourself faithful in the midst of that. And Lord, we just thank you for the victory that she has seen in her life through recovery from addiction and being a witness before an audience who watched her be baptized, and to share that testimony with that group. And through this podcast, Lord, I pray that it would minister to many people who are maybe struggling with their own addictions or struggling with a diagnosis, and they can watch this and be encouraged that there's hope, and that, Lord, that he has begun a good work in us is faithful to complete it. And so, Lord, we just commit that to you, the work that you want to do through this. We thank you for Michelle and Sean and their family. Bless them, prosper them, establish the work of their hands. And we just pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, it was nice.